All right, folks, here is the follow-up video as promised, as we're looking at John chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Just a few points to consider. First off, perhaps the thing that sticks out in a lot of people's minds whenever they hear or read this text is Jesus' words when he says, "Woman, what does this have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." And it sounds like Jesus is being a jerk, but he's not. We have to understand it in the context of first century Palestine and how he is speaking in terms and language that would have been used in that day and age, and it was not disrespectful, it was expected. Second off, this point when he says, "My hour has not yet come," that's an interesting thing. What does he mean by this? Well, we'll find out. He'll say a few times that my hour has not yet come, and then eventually he'll say the hour has come. And when does that happen? When he is betrayed. The hour has come for his passion, for him to do the thing that he came to do, which is to save the world. And so it's almost as if she's looking at him for help, as if you're the Messiah, so do something. And he's basically telling her, I'm the Messiah. I didn't come to do this. I came for something greater. He ends up helping anyway, and in a really big way. And perhaps another thing that sticks out to us is the first few words where it says, on the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee. And our first reaction might be to think, oh, resurrection. We're thinking about how Jesus is going to rise from the dead and how this, links to that. John doesn't really use that phrase, though, when he's talking about the resurrection. He doesn't really say on the third day so much. And yet at the same time, there is a correlation. Mostly when we think about what is the resurrection all about, well, it's all about a new creation. That's why Jesus came, was to make this fallen creation, this fallen world, into something new again, something perfect again. And a hint of this is at the fact that, okay, if we do a timeline, if we count what is actually happening, when we first saw John the Baptist, think of that as day one, and he's confronted by some Pharisees. Then verse 29 of chapter 1 says, the next day he saw Jesus coming toward him, day 2. Verse 35, the next day. Verse 43, the next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. That's where he meets Nathanael and Philip. And then here we come to chapter 2, on the third day. It sounds like we're looking at 7 days total, as if this is how it all played out. It's a week's time. But that's using our 21st century way of counting days and weeks. We would have to go back to more of an ancient Judaic timeline, which would really count this as 6 days total. So in early Jewish thinking, what happened on the 6th day? What is significant about the 6th day? Well, we have to go back to creation. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through Him, and without Him was not one thing made that has been made. Again, John's prologue comes to light here. We have to think about the creation. On the 6th day, God created man and woman. And what's happening here on the 6th day of John's timeline that he's laid out? There's a wedding between a man and a woman where the two have become one flesh. There's a direct correlation. But just as in the beginning, when so soon trouble in paradise came, just before their life together had really even begun, in the same way here at this wedding, before their life had really begun, there was trouble in paradise at this wedding because they had run out of wine. Wine was a big staple in life those days. It was necessary, and not just for celebrating, but also just for their daily life. Wine was a big part of it. But Jesus comes to fix the problem with creation primarily, but he shows us how he's going to fix creation as well through this miracle here in Cana. He's coming and he's going to take the old and make it new. It's no longer water, now it's wine. And even the jars that they used are symbolic. They're no longer necessary. These purification rites that those jars were used for, those aren't going to make you clean. Only Jesus can make you clean. That's what this is really all about. And this is his first miracle when he's displaying his glory for all the world to see. But only his mom, his disciples, and a few servants really saw it happen. That's not what you would expect when the king of the world, the king of the universe, is coming to town. You wouldn't expect him to do his first miracle in Cana of Galilee. No, the Jews would have expected it to happen in Jerusalem. They would have expected their king and Messiah to do something big and majestic, but that's not the way God works usually. But then again, we look back at the prologue in John 1, verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. Seems like that's about what's going on, isn't it? Well, those are just a few of my thoughts. Go ahead and leave some comments below if you've got any other thoughts or any questions about some of these things. Maybe there's questions about, can Christians drink alcohol, or whatever the case may be. We can have that discussion if you want. At any rate, that's a little bit more of God's Word for us today, or at least from my perspective and what I've studied. So God's blessings on your day. Thank you so much for taking 6 minutes to listen to this.